I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
It's about I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan.
Shut it down!
Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
He's out. No, he's safe. Phoenix has the ball, and a pinnacle ball throws it down.
The bring it, gets it back to Gosses, Barron across, now King, save Raymond, they score! Raymond!
5, Gosses to throw, and it's caught by St. Gray for a first down!
This is BS Sports.
And welcome in on a Tuesday night. I'm seeing a Moana little graphic on ESPN. What the heck is that? Is that a coconut? And he's gone. So if I'm a little distracted during this show, Michigan State is playing a really close game here with Memphis down 3 at the half. Close game. Very close game. But we got a great show. Look, Lions over the weekend, they took care of business. You know, it reminded me of this from The Godfather. Hold on, let me pull it up.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
That's right, Michael Corleone. The Lions just went into Indianapolis and just said, you know what? We're not going to go all out. We're probably going to have a whack day offensively. We're probably going to just kind of look a little lethargic, but it's strictly business. We're just going to take Anthony Richardson and put his head underneath the water tub until he stops moving, basically. That was basically what Sunday's game was. So we'll talk about that. We got a lot to talk about. I also have a little something that is a little different, all right? Something I don't do very often. I got the Are They Frauds segment of This Week in the NFL. I got three teams we're going to talk about. I'm going to ask the question, are they frauds? And I'm not declaring them frauds. I'm simply asking the question. Also got to talk college football. Michigan State. They played a game, technically, against Purdue. And, well, they won, but oh boy. We'll talk about it and all the news of the week in college football because it was a crazy weekend of college football. I don't know if you were aware. It was a crazy, crazy weekend of college football. Upsets galore. But, gotta move to the Lions. So, look, I mean, there's only so much I can even say. Like, wow, the Lions blew out another team. I'm shocked. I don't have words. But that's just what they do. This is just what a good team does. Like, we went into Indianapolis. It's practically just a neutral site game based on the amount of Lions fans I heard. I mean, like, you could hear when the offense was on the field for the Colts, it was louder than when the offense was on the field for the Lions. So that already shows me, like, for one, this team has one of the best fan bases in the league, that it doesn't matter if it's Indianapolis or if it's, let's see, who else do we play on the road this year? Minnesota or any of these places. Green Bay. We're going to travel. These fans are going to be there, and they are going to make it uncomfortable for the home team. It's going to look really bad on TV. I mean, if you want to gauge this sort of thing, go on the Lions opponents subreddits for the road teams that the Lions have played and look at the threads during and then after the games that the Lions beat them. Because, by the way, the Lions are 6-0 on the road. Like, you can't make that up. I remember in the first couple of years of Dan Campbell, we were wondering if he could ever win a road game, and now he can't lose them. He's lost more home games than he's lost road games this year, and he's lost just one. So, look, I mean, if you want me to run down the stats, here they are. Jared Goff, 269 yards in the air, no touchdowns, no picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, 21 carries for 90 yards. David Montgomery, 8 carries for 37 yards. Montgomery and Gibbs both with a touchdown. Gibbs with 2. J-Mo, leading receiver, 5 catches for 64 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 6 catches for 62 yards. Tim Patrick, have a game, 4 catches for 55 yards. Like, guys, I got to be honest with you. I could give you a million stats, right? But there is just something about this team where it doesn't matter. Like, the stats don't even affect me at this point. It's like, oh, yeah, Amon-Ra had a great game. Sure. Okay. Doesn't even matter because we're just taking care of business. We're like Kramer. We're T-Cobb taking care of business. I mean, I saw a stat here. I couldn't believe this until I, thought about it for 30 seconds. We have not allowed a single touchdown since the first half of the Houston game, which by my math, that's 10 total quarters in a row. That's all of Jacksonville, 4, all of Indianapolis, 4, that's 8, and then the second half of the Houston game, that's 10. 10 quarters with injuries mounting, mind you. We didn't have Terrion Arnold against the Colts. We haven't had Aiden Hutchinson since the Cowboys game. We didn't even have Zadarius Smith for the Houston game. So, and look, you could say on the other end, well, you did have to play a combination of Mac Jones and Anthony Richardson over those last couple of games. Fair enough. But at a certain point, I mean, it's not like the Colts weren't getting into the red zone, guys. They were getting into the red zone. They just were not scoring. And the same goes for, I guess it didn't go for Jacksonville. That game was just, that was just tough. It was tough to be a Jacksonville fan that day. But the Houston game, they had opportunities to score, and the defense just didn't let them. So Aaron Glenn, I mean, I heard a comment the other day, is Aaron Glenn having a better coordinator season than Ben Johnson? And honestly, it's a hard case to make. And it's not like definitive exactly, but this defense is top in the league. And we're not doing it with all of our guys. No Alex Anzalone this past week. Obviously, I already mentioned no Terrion Arnold. And we're not going to have Aiden Hutchinson for the rest of the year, if at all, potentially in the Super Bowl, which I highly, highly doubt. So now, going into Thanksgiving, I am under this weird, I don't want to say confidence because it's just sort of, that's not really the right word. It's like, okay, we have all these injuries, right? But, Terrion Arnold's probably going to be coming back. I think I heard David Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown probably going to be good to go on Thursday. Not sure if we'll have Taylor Decker back. Not sure if we'll have what's his name? Khalif Raymond. Not sure if we'll have him back, if at all. But yet, I just I have no I'm not shaking in my boots at the Bears. Now, part of that is because the Bears seem to find ways to lose every week. We'll talk about them later. But it's just this Lions team, it just feels like the Thanos meme. It just feels like they are inevitable. It doesn't matter. You can get rid of our captain on the defense, Alex Anzalone, our starting linebacker. Doesn't matter. Jack Campbell has continued to be at a top level at the linebacker position. You can lose your first-round corner. Doesn't matter. Kendall Vildor was not good, but it didn't matter because the rest of the secondary was so good that the only guys they would throw to was in Kendall Vildor's direction, basically. Aiden Hutchinson goes down for the year. Doesn't matter because Aleem McNeil, Zadarius Smith, and even Levi Onwuzurike and Josh Paschal will come in and not replace Aiden, but recreate his influence in a sense. Look, they didn't get a sack on Hutchinson, on Richardson, but there was never a point where the Lions defensively were terrified of Anthony Richardson and his ability to move down the field because he couldn't move down the field. The defense is too good. So the other thing to point out that this is just amazing. If the Lions win on Thanksgiving, there is a scenario where that win clinches a playoff spot for them. That would put them at one less win on the year than they did last year as a season. I can't make that up. Right? That is insane. That doesn't make any. That is beyond the pale. And I had this team winning 13 plus games going into the season. I thought they were going to be very good. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. But this is beyond just winning the Super Bowl. You are basically treating other NFL teams as practice for the playoffs. Shout out Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice. All of the feeling going into this game against the Bears, in which I believe the Lions are going to be double-digit favorites from last I heard, it just doesn't feel like there's ever a spot where I'm like, okay, they're finally going to blow it. They're finally going to lose one. They're finally, maybe they will lose this one on Thanksgiving. Look, they haven't won on Thanksgiving since 2016. It has not exactly been their marquee game. And they're coming in. It's a short week. They're banged up. It's always hard to come back and win on Thanksgiving, especially after, getting a lot of injuries there in the second half of that game. To me, it's just I think they'll just figure it out. I wish I could give you more commentary on this because that's what this is for. But guys, what do you want me to say? You have the top scoring offense. You have one of the best. I think you have the best red zone defense. You have the best two running back duo in the NFL. You have two of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams. You have a quarterback who, outside of one game this year, has been the most consistent and quality quarterback probably in the NFC. What do you want me to say? You have the best offensive line in the league. It doesn't. There is basically speaking no weakness. You have a kicker who can just casually kick 55-yard field goals like they're nothing and ice games. There is basically no real weakness to this team outside of the team just simply not performing to its standard. That is the weakness of this team. So if we can play a above average game, even if we play an average game, we pretty much beat most of the teams in this league. We did it against the Colts. We did it against the Cardinals earlier this year. We did it against the Houston Texans. We've done it against many teams. Many cases of that being on the road. So, look, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. I think this could be that final kind of monkey off the back of the Lions where it's okay, you've been losing on Thanksgiving pretty consistently. Go out there and show the world, show the United States, show football fans watching at home on Thanksgiving with their families that this team is not only just a fun little, blip on the radar, that this is a powerhouse of a team that is going to win the Super Bowl. And come hell or high water, they're going to, like Dan Campbell said back in his opening press conference, they're going to bite a kneecap off, and by the end of it, they're going to be the only ones left standing. I got nothing. This team is just so good, and it's so much fun. I can't wait for Thanksgiving. Come on. Hopefully, Caleb Williams throws 100 interceptions, and the Lions just knock the doors off them. Could we fight? You know what would be crazy? If we could do a reverse where we get the opposing team coach fired on Thanksgiving. Because normally it feels like, the Lions coaches are the ones who would get exposed on Thanksgiving. Like I remember Matt Patricia a few years ago. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think that the last time we won was 2016. It was the Vikings, I want to say we played. I want to say Case Keenum was their quarterback. I could be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure it was Case Keenum. So that just goes to show how long it has been. So I got nothing. The segment's over. You know what? Donald, what do you have to say?
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
Me too, Donald. Thank you for your input. That is by far one of my favorite drops that I have managed to find. Can we please? Thank you. Just listen. All of it's magnificent. Just please.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
Me too, Don. Me too, buddy. I'm so glad I added that to my board. Anyway, enough about our relationship with the blacks. Let's start with the NFL this week here. I guess start, please. We're already into the show. So I feel bad about this one. All right, because I might have gone too far in a few places. Shout out George Lucas. The Steelers did the thing. They found a way to lose in peak Steeler fashion. It felt they were ahead. They were kind of just sort of. They just weren't. They were just sort of trying to. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They never could close it out, and they couldn't score. They were down 10-3 at the half. And then the snow started to pile up, and it was. I mean, everyone loves a snow game. I love it. It was fun, but man, that's a brutal way to lose a game. The way the Steelers lost that game. I mean, first of all, the other funny thing about that game is you had what's his name, George Pickens fighting receivers in the middle of a play. It's like, dog, the game is still okay. George Pickens, man, I don't know what it is, and it's not just George Pickens. He's not the only one. I don't know what it is with Pittsburgh Steelers and finding these psychopath wide receivers. You're we're getting to it's like Juju Smith-Schuster and then Antonio Brown, obviously, and now George Pickens. And it's like, guys, what is your scouting? Do you do interviews on the character of these people, or are they just really good liars? And at least Antonio, oh my gosh, what's his name? I just said his name. I'm Antonio Pierce is the only name in my head. What is it? What the heck am I? Did I just is this dementia? What just happened? Hold on. Antonio Brown. I don't know what that dementia just hit me randomly. Antonio Brown. At least with Antonio Brown, it was okay, he might not have started crazy, right? It wasn't like he showed up to the place and he was crazy. I don't know. He was he's from a smaller school, Central Michigan, fire up chips. It was you don't think he's going to be crazy. But with George Pickens, it seemed like from day one the guy was crazy. So I don't know. Maybe that's just the kind of guys they like. I don't know. Moving along though, I gotta mute my TV here. There we go. I hope that wasn't too loud in the background. I don't think it was. It's very quiet. But anyway, Moving along, though. All right. Look, I got to talk about this because obviously it's a thing. Caleb Williams and the Bears find ways to lose a game again. So, look, I don't want to totally dunk on Caleb. If you just look at the stats, if you look at the box score, he had an amazing game. 340 yards, couple of touchdowns. But when the lights are biggest, is that the right word? When the lights are brightest, when the stage is biggest, when the game is on the line, you win the coin flip in overtime. All you need is one touchdown drive, and you win the game. And let me just pull up that overtime for you. Where is it? Let's see. Is it at the very end? I believe it's at the very end here. Yep, it's at the very end here. 1st and 10 at the 30. And then Caleb Williams scrambles right guard, Chicago, 31-yard, 1-yard pickup. All right. Caleb Williams runs for a yard, now 2nd and 9. All right. Caleb Williams sacked for minus 12. Is that right? Minus 12 yards. Okay. 3rd and 21. Not ideal. Penalty. Delay of game is minus 5 yards. So now you got 26, 3rd and 26 now. Caleb Williams pass, short middle, DJ Moore for 10 yards. 4th down and 16, punt, and the game was over at that point. Because all Sam Darnold and the Vikings had to do was walk down into the field, get into field goal range, and they win the game. And that's exactly what they did. Now, again, I do not want to dunk on Caleb Williams. However, I just got a little tip. Just a little tiny baby tip. Okay? If you don't want the game to come down to one drive to like secure it all, then maybe, just maybe, don't let the game be that close. Don't go the entire 3rd quarter and not score any points. Don't go 2 quarters in a row and not score a touchdown. Don't allow your opponent to be up 24-10 going into the 4th quarter. Don't do that. And then you don't have to score 17 in the 3rd quarter or in the 4th quarter to tie it up. Because the way I see it, Caleb Williams can put up a bunch of big numbers. He can put up a bunch of stats once the game is out of reach, so to speak. Once the game is far away, and then maybe, it becomes, basically you're just airmailing the ball, right? Because you're just trying to get a big play. And then things can go his way. But, there's I was going to say the front runner, but it feels like in a way sometimes it can be the opposite problem where you only turn on the supreme talent in the moments where the game is already pretty far out of reach. And he had a chance to steal this game away from the Vikings, and he didn't do it. And that's on coaching as much as it's on Caleb. But look, again, I'm not going to, bury the guy because he threw for 340 yards and a couple touchdowns. I don't care how you got those stats. That's pretty darn good, especially for a rookie. However, again, the Bears they get in their own way. And this is like, it just feels like, and I hope I don't regret saying this depending on the result on Thursday, it just feels like the Bears are the new old Lions. I mentioned this last year when the Bears blew that game to Detroit. It's just like they can have all the talent in the world. They can have all the, the star players, the big name draft picks, but they just find ways to blow it. Like if it's not players on the field being bad, it's coaches being bad. If it's not coaches being bad, it's general managers being bad. If it's not general managers being bad, it's ownership getting in the way and harming things. If it's not ownership, it's the play. Like it's just if the Bears are in a spot, there's always something that's off. And look, I've seen it flip. It can flip like that, Bears fans. You need to get control of things. Matty Eberflus has got to go. That should be first. If assuming they lose on Thanksgiving, he should be staying in Detroit. Basically, he should not be getting on the team plane. That goes without saying. But the problem is, you would now be going into what, your third coach in like 4 years? like you at a certain point, you have to establish, number one, as an ownership, and as obviously the ownership is going to be the ones handling any sorts of hiring. You have to show that you have some level of competency to the players on the field so that they don't get that feeling that, okay, basically, this is just a complete and utter crap show, and nobody knows what's going on. It's just, bring in the, grand opening for the new coach, grand closing a couple of years later. You can't have that. It's not a way to run a professional team, and I know Bears fans know this, but, hey, if you want to give the Bears some credit, they have made a Super Bowl this century. So it's not like it's so out of the realm of possibility for them to turn it around and have something of a competent team. Now, that team was not very good when they made the Super Bowl, and they ended up losing. But point still stands. They have something to build off of. They obviously have the fandom. They obviously have the drive from fans. It's not like they have to completely dig it up. I don't know. It's just the Bears are just a complete and utter mess, and it's sad in as much as it's a team that historically has been around for, I want to say, the oldest team in the NFL, and yet basically nobody outside of your parents have any experience with the Bears that is not just putrid. Like, you had the one Super Bowl year, and that's about it. And then you had Mitch Trubisky and Jay Cutler. And who else did they have at quarterback? They had a lot of guys. What was the name of the backup? Oh, my gosh. Tyson Bagent. That guy. I remember he came in for Justin Fields, and he started to look really good. And people were like, oh, maybe Tyson Bagent. Is he that guy? And then he just sucked. He was terrible. It only takes so long for Bears quarterbacks to get bad. So, yeah. I don't have too many other games to break down here. I guess I'll talk about Green Bay knocking the doors off of San Fran. That's the reason I really am a little averse to wanting to talk about this game is because the Niners are just a shell of a team. I mean, can anybody please tell me who the heck is Brandon Allen? I mean, he sounds like a broadcaster. I'm not gonna read his stats because I don't want to embarrass the poor guy. I don't know where he's been in life. I've literally, and I like to think I'm pretty familiar with most players, especially at the quarterback position, regardless of the team. I have literally never heard of Brandon Allen. I don't know if he's been in the league for a while. I don't know if he's been in the league for 30 minutes. Like, how is this your backup? Like, it's one thing. Look, I understand you can't prepare for all externalities, right? You can't prepare for every possible thing to go wrong. If everything goes wrong, then that's it. There's nothing you can do. But you're telling me that you couldn't find any halfway decent backup quarterback? I mean, you couldn't. Look, Mac Jones stinks, okay? But I think Mac Jones in the right system can potentially keep you in somewhat afloat, right? I think Mac Jones would have been able to play a little bit better than Brandon Allen. I mean, he was decent his rookie year. People might forget, but like, there's something that. Who is Brandon Allen? This is just what I'm going to hammer home on. Who is Brandon Allen? Who else is like a classic back? What about Josh Dobbs? Last year, Josh Dobbs, he came in a random starter role for a couple of teams, at least. For the Vikings, I remember he jumped in and he immediately had some level of success. I mean, give him a call. Sign him to a half a year deal. I don't know. Do whatever it is you have to do to have anybody other than Brandon Allen as your backup for if your quarterback goes down. Because look, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, George Kittle. George Kittle is basically the only remaining remnant of a competent team. Because Christian McCaffrey, did not play well, needless to say. 11 carries for 31 yards is not the McCaffrey standard, needless to say. I mean, you have no Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel, Buddy might as well just take the rest of the year off. because I don't know what he does at this point. If he's not yelling at his kicker to make his field goal kicks, he's basically not making an impact on the game. I just like one catch for 21 yards, Debo. I know Brandon Allen is throwing to you. Aren't you supposed to be a Pro Bowl, All Pro wide receiver? Whatever. You know what? Do whatever you want, Debo. It feels like this 49ers team is sort of on its last leg. And this loss here was pitiful. I mean, you first of all, it was not this bad. Like going into the half, you're down 10. That's not bad. It just got away from them. And it got to the point where in the fourth quarter, it was very, very ugly. To me, this feels like you have to wave the white flag here. You have to just say, all right, time to give it up. Time to throw it away. It's just not working. The injuries are mounting. The players are getting older, so they're becoming more and more injury prone. Obviously, you don't have no Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the year. So maybe you think, okay, maybe you get another year. If Brandon Ayuk comes back, he can be positive part of that offense. George Kittle's still a really good player. I don't know how many more years you have left of him playing at a high level. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is injury prone, and you didn't have him for the first half of the year. Like at a certain point, Trent Williams, I'm pretty sure he's been out. I don't know for sure because he didn't show up on the box score, but I'm pretty sure he's been out for some amount of time. At least he maybe not been out this game, but he was out for some of the games this year. It's just to the point where, okay, you're not really the team you were. You obviously are not the team you were last year. You really aren't even the team you were a couple of years ago. It's just not good. It's just not good. You need to the quarterback position with Brock Purdy, I don't know what they're going to do. Because whatever they end up doing is either going to completely blow up in their face or it's going to sustain them for some amount of time. And I don't know which one's going to do which. Like, either you basically just let Purdy walk, you trade any assets you have for picks, you trade McCaffrey or Debo or any of these guys, and you get as many picks as you can, and you just go full tank mode and you start all over, right? I don't even know if you keep Kyle Shanahan if that's the case, or you say F it, we're gonna run it back. This team has the talent. We're gonna sign Brandon Purdy, Brock Purdy. We're gonna bring in some talent. We're gonna get Brandon Ayuk back, and we're just gonna hope it goes well. I don't know which one's the right move. I know what it's like to not have a quarterback. I had to see games started by Tim Boyle. That was not fun. All right, that was not fun. David Blau, not fun. Not fun at all. All right, so you don't want to be in that world, San Fran. And I think Brock Purdy is at least a solid quarterback. I mean, clearly he's a good enough quarterback to get you to a Super Bowl, and probably good enough to win you one. But this team, as it is right now, you're at an impasse, fork in the road, whatever you want to say, whatever cliche you want to use. You're stuck. And I guess depending on how confident you are this is all injury related, that will depend upon the answer you might have as to what the Niners need to do. There's that. There's my rant on the 49ers. I didn't expect to have that. I also just want to point this out, okay? I just want to point this out. I have Christian Watson in fantasy. Just a couple of years ago, this Christian Watson guy was, the hottest thing since sliced bread. 0 receptions for 0 catches, 4 total rushing yards. Why are we throwing a Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks? What happened to Christian Watson? I have no idea. I don't know what happened. One day he's just like, you know what? I don't like football anymore. I don't even like it. I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to play football for money. You can't make me. That was my short rant on Christian Watson. All right. So let's get into this because I got 3 teams here. on Mike's specialty, the "Are they frauds" game. It's not really a game. It's more of just I thought this was an interesting question because look, I mean, it's basically we're full into football season, and I don't really want to rant about the Red Wings anymore. So, and they won last night, so I can't even be mad. I got 3 teams here this week. We're gonna ask the question: are these teams frauds? Are they fraudulent? I don't know if it's one way or the other. I have my own answer. Let's start. All right. Team number 1 is the Commanders. So the Commies, after a really hot start, starting, what was it? They were 7-2 start, knocking down the Giants on the road, lose 3 straight, 2 of them at home, and 2 of them in pretty heartbreaking fashion. I mean, lose by just the 1 point to the Steelers. You lose to the Cowboys on a missed extra point, basically. You missed the extra point. The game totally, flips in favor of the Cowboys. I mean, you let an onside kick get returned for a touchdown. I've never seen that. I've never in my life seen that. And now you're sitting at 7-5. You're still in second in your division. So the NFC East is still wide open for the Commanders. However, I mean, the more that you look at it, and the more individual performances, to me, this feels like a Jaden Daniels is playing hurt and they're kind of keeping him in. So I was trying to find the game logs. I mean, in these 3 losses, his best game was against Dallas. But against Pittsburgh, 202 yards. Against Philadelphia, 191 yards. He's got 3 interceptions in as many games. Granted, he's got 3 touchdowns in as many games, but still. The fact that he has 3 of his 5 total interceptions in the past 3 games is a cause for concern. Now, does that mean Jaden Daniels is a total failure? No, absolutely not. But it does mean that I think the flaws of this team that were identified at the beginning of the season are starting to reveal themselves. They don't really have that good of a defense. They really don't actually have as many weapons offensively as they would need to be consistently a good team on offense. I mean, for one, another way of looking back at it is that 3-game win streak they had after losing to Baltimore. You had Carolina, Bears, Giants, 3 of the worst teams in the league that you body bagged. And that you body bagged. I should use that in scare quotes. You body bagged the Carolina Panthers. You did that. You needed a Hail Mary miracle against the Bears, which only the Bears would allow. And you only won the Giants game by a single possession. And that was not a very good game from Daniel. So, it just, I don't know. I don't want to say outright they are completely fraudulent. But right now, they're trending towards being who they actually are, which is a pretty middle-of-the-road team that can sneak up on you and put up some points, and Jane Daniels can make some really great plays with his arm. But ultimately, it's just not talented enough and not really there yet in the NFC for sure. I think it's going to take probably a year or 2. I mean, just given the fact that you got your quarterback of building around him, getting him some nice receivers there, building that run game, building that offensive line, and then obviously building that defense. That's pretty much what it's going to have to take because this team is just not all there yet. I mean, need we forget that they did lose to the Cowboys? I mean, come on. I know that just happened, but you will never be able to any team that allows Mike McCarthy to keep his job for any longer, to me, is public enemy number 1. So don't do that. And I hate the Cowboys, but I cannot fathom that Mike McCarthy keeps his job. Anyway, I want to move on to another interesting team that got the win this week as opposed to the Commanders. I'm gonna go with the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm gonna just say this straight up. I think this is complete fugazi. I think what the Broncos are doing is a complete and utter mirage. First of all, let's just go up and down the wins and losses, all right? They started the year 0-2, won 3 in a row, Those 3 were wins against the Buccaneers, who a good team, but not a great team, the Raiders, and the Jets. Jets on the road. Jets and the Raiders, terrible. Awful team. Of course you should beat them. Lose to the Chargers at home. Beat the Saints, who stink. The Panthers, who stink. Lose to the Ravens and Chiefs, 2 Super Bowl contenders. Beat the Falcons, who are inconsistent as all get out. And then beat the Raiders again. What is the marquee win for this team? What is the win that makes you think this team is anything more than like a mid feaster, like a team that is feasting off of and look, they don't control their schedule. I'm not blaming them. It just is the reality to me that they are beating up on a lot of teams that are mediocre to not that good. Now, what that does mean is they are trending in a better direction than they were last year, where they were, they were sort of a directionless team. Russell Wilson was not working out. It just wasn't. At least now you can say, okay, you got Bo Nix, you got a rookie, but to me, I feel like the bottom is going to fall out at some point. Maybe this is just my Sean Payton hatred boiling over. I don't think that a rookie quarterback is going to get you that far in this league. You probably win on Monday night next week, or not. Yeah, actually, wait. Yes, next week. Because this Sunday is December 1st. I was like looking at the schedule and I was like, December 2nd, that's got to be a week. No, that's next week. Yeah, this Monday night against the Browns. You probably also get that win. That's going to be win number 3 in a row. Then you got the Colts at home. That could be a toss-up game, depending on who ends up at quarterback and what kind of a game Anthony Richardson wants to have. Then you got the Chargers on the road. That's going to be tough. You got the Bengals on the road. You never know what kind of Bengals team you're going to get. That defense is terrible. Then you end the year with the Chiefs at home. I don't know if they're going to be able – if they do sneak into the playoffs, I'll eat my words. I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. It doesn't feel real to me. And they are at least a year away in my mind from being a serious contender. And that's assuming Sean Payton does not, continue to just be himself, which is to say, not great. I just can't stand Sean Payton. Maybe that's just what this boils down to, is that I just don't like Sean Payton, which is fine. I'm all for hatred. Hatred is good. That's not true. Hatred is. Anyway, moving along. All right, so this one saddens me. Arizona, the Cardinals, are they frauds? Look, they started the year, it wasn't great. Wasn't great. 1-4 or 1-3. Not great. Not great, Bob. Then they go on a run. They beat the 49ers. Lose to the Packers, not good. Then they win 4 straight, and you're feeling good. You're going into the bye, coming out of the bye, and you just show you're behind against the Seahawks on the road. 16-6. I mean, let me just point out the stats on this game, because this is a doozy of a game, guys. All right. You got Kyler Murray, 285 yards, but no touchdowns and an interception. He was sacked not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 total times was he sacked. You know how many yards they ran the ball? If you guessed less than 50 as a team, you would be correct. Total of 49 rushing yards. I mean, talk about putting it all on Kyler Murray. Like talk about having him be your whole team. You can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, this is a team that I think could make the playoffs, actually. But they are finding ways to just be all too inconsistent. It's a problem to me when on one week you can go out and match the Dolphins offensively and win that game, or knock the doors off the LA Rams, or even play a pretty competent, albeit low-scoring game against a Charger team that is a good defense, right? It's another thing to go for no touchdowns and just look lifeless. I mean, this was a game that I thought, oh, okay, Seahawks, they're kind of trending down. I don't trust Geno. I think the Cardinals are going to trend up. They're going to take control of this division, and then it's like the SpongeBob meme. It's like, let them have it. You can have it with the division. That's how the Cardinals were with the division right now. And it's just looking ahead, it's not like things get easy. They got on the road against the Vikings. That's a tough game. It's a tough environment to play, regardless of whether or not you think the Vikings are a real team. I think at 8-2, they're pretty real. You got the Seahawks at home, so you don't have a long break without playing. What am I trying to say? You don't have a long break in between games against the Seahawks. Then you got a couple of games against the Patriots and the Panthers. Those could be get right games. Either one of those could get you ahead. Then you got the spiraling Rams and the spiraling 49ers. If you can put together 3, 4, how many games they got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can put together, 3, 4, 5 wins. I mean, any combination of 5 wins, you're in. You get to 11 wins, you're almost certainly in. I don't know whether or not you win the division. That's another question. But if you could get to 9 wins, probably make the playoffs, depending on some of the tiebreaker stuff. You can get to 10 wins, you're probably in a wild card spot, potentially, depending on how bad that division ends up being. A lot of these games are division games. Seahawks, and then a couple of games against the Rams and the 49ers, respectively. I don't think they are frauds. However, consistency needs to be the message going into every, you need to be able to, offensively speaking, not be total duds, right? Kyler Murray can be a playmaker. We've seen him do it. So you got to take advantage of guys like Trey McBride. You got to take advantage of having Marvin Harrison Jr., who has been a pretty solid player for them. You got to take advantage. I mean, again, looking ahead at the schedule, they have the schedule in front of them to where they can make the playoffs. Now, if all they do is beat the Patriots and the Panthers and then lose all the rest of these games, then yeah, they are frauds. I just don't think that's going to happen. But maybe I'm just too hopeful for my short king and Kyler Murray. So yeah, there you go. Those are the 3 teams I had. Maybe we'll do this again next week where I just ask, are these teams frauds? And we'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll check back in with these 3 teams. I think of all the teams in the NFL as far as potential pseudo contenders, I think those 3 teams, the Commanders, the Broncos, and the Cardinals, those are the teams to watch because they're above water, heads above water for right now. But even the slightest little droppage, if you just push them a little bit, they're either going to rise up or they're going to sink to the bottom. That's how it feels, certainly. So, Michigan State, by the way, is down 13 against Memphis. Less than 10 minutes to go in this game. It's a stupid Maui Invitational, but I kind of just wanted to have them play on Thanksgiving. So that this is just disappointing. That would have been, 3 years in a row they played on Thanksgiving? Oh my. Can I please? Oh my gosh. There we go. Why I hate these things. So you got to put the cap on just right. I guess that's with everything. Anyway. All right. That's enough NFL. We talked a lot of NFL. Now, let's talk some college ball. Let's start with my team, Michigan State, the Spartans. Man, y'all really got away with one. I'm just gonna say that right now. And I gotta say, I'm not that old. I'm 25 years old. I'm not that old. However, I'm a little too old, or rather too young, in a sense, to believe that Drew Brees is playing for Purdue right now. But gosh darn, man, the way that Hudson Card was throwing the ball, it certainly looked like it, because he was the entire offense for Purdue. Okay, you want to know something? You want a fun little stat for you? You want to know how many total rushing yards Purdue had? Less than 1. Okay, and you probably they had 0. No, they had -4. Devin Mockabee had a total of 14 yards. He did have a touchdown, though. He did have a touchdown. 9 carries, 14 yards. Hudson Card ran with the ball 6 times for negative 20 yards. He might as well have just like never moved, basically. It would have been better for him to do that. I've never seen a quarterback have a negative 20 yards. I've never seen that. I've never in my life seen that. But it is what it is. It is what it is, I suppose. So this game is the tale of two halves. Michigan State, first half, 24 points, knocking the doors off Purdue. All right, we're feeling confident. All right, we get the win, business trip / hold your ground because next week you got a chance get into a bowl game. Second half. I don't know if I have the stats in front of me. You know what? Let's just do the play-by-play of every possession in that second half for Michigan State. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Let's see. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown. Okay, so after scoring that that third touchdown. 1, 2, 3. After scoring that third touchdown, all right? Here are all of the possessions for Michigan State by plays. Okay? First and 10, pass incomplete. Second and 10, 5-yard run. Third and 5, pass complete, short of the sticks. Fourth and 1, Childs runs, gets it. First and 10, Nate Carter run, loss of 4. Second and 14, Childs passing complete. Third and 13, passing complete. Fourth and 13, punt. Second time. All right, 5 plays. First and 10, Carter runs for a yard. Lynch Adams runs for 10. First down. Childs sacked. Makes it second and 15. Childs pass complete to Marsh for 12 yards. Third and 3. Pass incomplete. Punt. Next one. First and 10. Childs pass complete to Foster for 15 yards. First down. Lynch Adams 2-yard run. Second and 8. Pass incomplete. Third and 8. Pass incomplete. Fourth and 8. Punt. Next one. This is where things get really fun. First and 10, Carter, 6-yard run. Second and 4, Childs, run, no gain. Third and 4, pass incomplete, punt. Then, second to last, drive of the night. Lynch Adams, 5-yard run. Second and 5, Lynch Adams, 7-yard run, first down. Lynch Adams, run, loss of 3. Second and 13, pass complete, 7 yards. Third and 6, pass incomplete, fourth down, punt. And then finally, after Purdue turned it over on downs, after a miracle of a drop, I want to say that was in that drive, Michigan State gets the ball back and finally are able to ice the game. First and 10, pass incomplete to Nick Marsh, but there is a first down penalty, so it's first and 10. Lynch Adams, 4 yards. Second and 6, Lynch Adams, 1 yard. Third and 5, Childs runs for 4 yards. Fourth and 1, Childs runs for the yard to get the first down, and then they knee it out. What I just told you is some of the most inept and pathetic possessions. I mean, we got the ball to start the third quarter. We had a chance to go up 31-3. That would have just totally shut down the game. The game would have been over at that point. There would have been no shot for Purdue to have any semblance of a comeback. And yet, Michigan State finds a way to make that game interesting. There was a part of me that was going through this game, and I was like, oh gosh, if they lose this game, this is going to be the show. This is the show is going to be how Michigan State found a way to lose a blowout game at home, prime time, Friday night, national television, when everybody is watching. Well, everybody who watches Friday night college football is watching. This game cannot be the kind of game we play against Rutgers. Full stop. I don't think I'm crossing new ground. I don't think I'm crossing new territory with that statement. Aiden Childs had what I thought was at the beginning of this game a pretty solid game. On the whole game, it was not good. On the whole game, it was not. But you had 2 passing touchdowns in the first half. You had the team on the ropes. And defensively, you just let them have it. You just let them come back and just march down the field. Again, Hudson Card threw for 342 yards. You can't have it. It's just not possible. And he did throw an interception. But what do you know? The offense did not take advantage of it. So if Michigan State has anything resembling hope going for a bowl game this upcoming weekend against Rutgers, it is that Aiden Childs needs to play like he did in this first half against Purdue the whole game. Okay? He needs to have an Iowa-esque game in order for us to beat Rutgers. And Rutgers is not good. All right? Don't get it twisted. Rutgers is not that far off from you. Okay? You need to go out and you need to have a competent football game. And to me, if we can't get into bowl eligibility in this first year after bringing in a new quarterback, bringing in some weapons for said new quarterback, and bringing in a new coach with new coordinators and a lot of newness, basically, like a real, actual coaching staff, I'm sorry, that's a failure. Full stop. If you can't get to 6 wins in college football, especially, I know our schedule was hard this year, but we had multiple games where we should have won, where we shot ourselves in the foot. We should have won that Boston College game. We should have won that Michigan game. We very well could have won that Illinois game. That's 3 games, 3 wins taken off the board. That would have gotten you to 8, which at the beginning of the year after the Maryland win, I thought maybe we could do. Best case scenario. Clearly, that was not the case. So, look, you have a chance to finish the game or finish the season strong. You got Rutgers, again, a non-noon game. Michigan State, by the way, has not played a noon game since last year. And depending on if they win this game against Rutgers, may not play at all this season. Because if they win, I guess even if they win, there's no guarantee because their bowl game could not be a noon game. I've never even seen that. I've watched a lot of college football. I've never seen a year where my team does not play at least one noon game. Not even one? Like Prairie View's not at noon? You know, like Illinois is not at Purdue? No, guess not. Guess not. So, yeah. On that note, just given the performance of Michigan State, I got a question. How far away realistically is MSU actually from competing in the national championship in the playoff? Like realistically. 2 years? 3? Because to me, if it's anything more than 2, as in next year you get to 8 or 9 wins, year after you're, potentially a top team, or at least in that mix of top teams. If we're talking like 3 is when we will officially arrive. For one, Aiden Childs will be a senior. So assuming we stick with him and he doesn't end up going anywhere, and or he plays better or plays terribly and just loses his job. Like, I don't know that Jonathan Smith is that guy if it takes you 3 years in this college football's, world where you can, flip a roster like that. And I know what people will say is, well, Michigan State is not a major moneymaker, or Michigan State is not a major school. It's not. Here's what I'll say about that. Michigan State was similarly spoken about, 10, 12 years ago when Michigan State was actually one of the best teams in the country in football, when they were winning Rose Bowls, when they were in the college football playoff, when people would not laugh at you to suggest that Michigan State could win the national championship. Like, it's not so impossible to win at Michigan State. It really is not. Like, you might say in the age that we're in, it's become more difficult. Sure. I mean, it's become more difficult for many teams. But to act as though Michigan State is like, and bear my, apologies for my disrespect of some of these teams. If people think Michigan State is, South Florida, or Michigan State is Vanderbilt, or Maryland, or any of these teams that realistically just do not put the equity into or have a fan base that cares enough about said, competition. I just don't think that's the case. Like, Michigan State, when it is rocking, it's like the the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you build a good team, Spartan Stadium, East Lansing, those fans are going to show up. If you build a garbage team, if you build a boring team, well, then yeah, nobody's gonna care. They're not gonna be they're not gonna be on the national stage, and they wouldn't deserve to be. But Jonathan Smith is a builder. That is what I was sold on, is that he builds programs. He built up Oregon State to be a 10+ win team. And in this age of college football, 10 wins gets you into the playoff. Now, whether or not you like the college football playoff, whether or not you think it's stupid, like me, I don't like it. I'm not a fan. The reality is, if you can get into the college football playoff, then as far as I'm concerned, you are one of the teams that can just get hot and just play the best football of your life. And look, in college football, it's hard to be that team sometimes because, talent can just be disproportionately given out. But stranger things have happened in the world of college football and in just sports in general. So I don't think that Michigan State is some poverty school or some poverty program. They might act like it. They might put themselves forward as if they are that, but I don't think they should. I think that, again, you go back to those teams in the 2010s, Michigan State was rocking. Okay. Michigan State was, higher up than most other, if not all other Big Ten teams. I mean, we were beating Ohio State. We certainly were beating Michigan. It's really not so unbelievable to think that Michigan State could have a resurgence. The question is whether or not we have, for one, the standard to live to. Because I'm sorry, if we're at year 3 and we're only getting to 8 wins, I'm done with Jonathan Smith. Short of, catastrophic unluckiness, like, your quarterback dying or, some other form of catastrophe. I'm not having that. All right. By year 3, I expect, 11, 12 wins. I expect you to be basically where teams like Oregon are. And you could say, oh my gosh, they don't have the figure it out. That's college football for you. Do whatever it is you have to do and put the investment into the team that you have to do. Develop your guys, show that you can build a competent offense, and not only will the fans come, but the good players will come too. So I have no doubt that Jonathan Smith is a competent and a smart football guy. Whether or not he can do it here at Michigan State, like he did at Oregon State, that's a whole other discussion. And only time will tell. One can only hope. But first things first, you got to be Rutgers. And second thing, please don't ever play a game like you did against Purdue. I will have to leave the country if you play another game like that, and I will hide away in a dark mountain, high up in the sky, and I will not talk to human beings for a year. I'll just go meditate, just figure out what's wrong with my life. Why? How did I get to this point? I'll go live with some monks. That's what I'll do. Actually, sounds kind of nice. Oh, that was a really nice shot from Richardson. Do you think Jace Richardson's dad could play? Do you think we could call him up? How many years of eligibility does his dad have left? Probably not anymore. Maybe we could give him a call. It could be pretty easy to reach. I gotta say though, these kids, these college students who get to play basketball in Hawaii, that must be nice. It's like for anyone who's not from the Michigan area. No, not from Michigan. This time of year, this is like the pre-winter, right? This is when, life starts to become very miserable. Okay. I work from 10 to 6. That's my shift. I gotta work. It's pitch black outside. I hate it. This is the worst. I basically get like 15 minutes of daylight throughout the day. Because I'm just inside. I'm at work, and the windows are far away from me. And to have these players, they get to go to Hawaii for Thanksgiving. I don't know how fun it is with you don't get to see your family, or maybe you bring your family. I don't know. I would love to spend Hawaii or Thanksgiving in Hawaii. That sounds like a great time. I don't have to worry about, it snowing, which hopefully it won't. Please don't. Please. I have to drive. I have to drive like an hour to get to my family's place. We're going to move along. All right. We got some college football to talk about. So I actually got a few things started. This is more stuff that I had to talk about in college football in a while. So Indiana finally loses a game. They lose to Ohio State. I did say going into this game, don't totally write off Indiana. And you know what? I am going to say I was somewhat vindicated. I was vindicated for about the first 2 quarters-ish, maybe even the first half, all right? Going into the third quarter, it was a 1-possession game, all right? 14-7, Ohio State over Indiana, all right? And then everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. Ohio State scores 14 in the third quarter, and the game was over. It was 28-7 going into the third. The game was over. Curtis Rourke, yeah, I don't even want to read your stats, buddy. I don't want to embarrass you any more than you did on Saturday. But look, Ohio State, this was a business trip, right? Ohio State just took care of business. They got obviously the biggest game of the year, the rivalry game against Michigan this weekend. And this just felt like we're just way better than you, Indiana. And I don't want to say Indiana's a complete fraudulent team. I can't do that because they're not. I mean, I'm sorry. I know people say, "Oh, their competition is so bad." They're whatever. You're still 11-1, or you're still 10-1. Like you can't make that up, right? That's not like to act as though, oh well, they're just playing no. Yes, their competition was not good. I mean, do you want me to just read it off for you? Fine, okay. They got. They had UCLA, they had Maryland, they had Northwestern, they had Nebraska, they had Washington, they had us. They had Michigan State, they had Michigan. Okay, that's not great, but it's not like they're not playing, Prairie View every week. They're not playing, Eastern Michigan every week. Okay, I mean, Northwestern might actually be as bad as Eastern Michigan, but Nebraska, that game was impressive to me. All right. It's one thing to beat a team. It's another thing to win games 56-7, to win games 47-10. It's even another thing to win a game like you did against Michigan in a grinder, in a game where your offense was not playing well and still finding that way to win. Now, they got Purdue this week. They're probably going to destroy Purdue. They're going to end up being 11-1. And look, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm sorry. If you think they're not making the playoffs at 11-1, I think you're crazy. All right. They are not going to first of all, there's 12 teams. So that just leaves a lot more room for a team that goes 11-1. But they're 11-1 in one of the Power 5 conferences. That's going to be weighed in their favor. I would be shocked and appalled if a team that has 3 losses gets in over Illinois, over Indiana. I'm sorry. Throw them in there and then whatever. They lose, they lose. Who cares? It's made by a committee anyway, so you might as well just say, screw it, let's have some fun. There's no actual objective metrics to these things because it's 100 billion teams all competing for the same national championship with, unfair levels of talent, uneven levels of talent distributed. I don't see a world where they can't get in. And I know that the college football ranking show is coming up here soon. I'm probably going to be off by the time it starts up. I'm sorry. It is. I would be shocked if they're not in it because they lose to Ohio State. I would be utterly shocked. So yeah, that's all that. I do want to mention this game as well. Speaking of teams that do not deserve to be in the playoffs, that's all. That's mostly sarcasm, or is it? Penn State did the old Pittsburgh Steelers, the old playing down to competition. Getting down in this game, they were down at the half, 19-16, and then the Minnesota stopped scoring touchdowns. Basically, that's how Penn State was able to win. Here's the thing, all right? What's funny to me is on one end, we'll say, okay, Penn State obviously Penn State deserves to be in. Okay. Tell me exactly what the difference is in terms of the level of competition Penn State has played and the level of competition that Indiana has played. It is better, technically. But, like, okay, you're telling me the close win against Bowling Green means that much more than the close win against Michigan? I mean, both those teams suck. Like, I'd argue Bowling Green is worse than Michigan. I know, crazy argument. And yet, they won that game by one possession. You also had, such crazy wins against UCLA and only a 3-point victory against USC, who is not good. Is USC probably better than most of the teams that Indiana's played? Sure. But it's not like they've played a great schedule either. But Penn State is like a surefire. They're definitely going to get in, which doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'm just an angry guy with a microphone. What can I say? It's funny because they're like Purdue, Washington, UCLA. Those are 4 wins that Penn State has that Indiana also has. But Indiana is poverty, and I guess Penn State is, the most amazingest team ever. And yet they barely can beat Minnesota. So I want them to be in so that James Franklin loses again, because I just love watching him lose. It's one of my favorite things in the world, actually. It's one of my favorite things. I have a lot of favorite things. Like chocolate cake, that's really good. I like chocolate cake. Steak, a nice fillet or a nice New York strip. And then watching James Franklin lose. Those are my classical music. Just naming like wonderful. The Mona Lisa, beautiful film. And then watching James Franklin. It's all the same. It's all art. It's all beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, Ole Miss. Oh, Penn State of the South. You want to talk about playing down to competition. Look, it's one thing to play down to competition. It's another thing to let that competition beat you. That, to me, nope. If you think this team is making the playoff, nope. No chance. No chance. You lose 3 games, you're done in my book. If I was the committee, you're done. Not only do you lose a game, and all your losses, by the way, are not against good teams. Not against good teams. You could say, oh, well, they beat Georgia. Don't care. Don't care. All right? Great. You beat Georgia. You got lucky 1 week. Okay? You also lost to LSU. You also lost to Kentucky. And now you've lost to Florida. If you can't even realistically compete for your own conference championship game, why the heck would I put you in to compete for the national championship? That makes no sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So, yeah, I think this basically seals it. Shout out Florida. Shout out Florida for doing the Lord's work and beating Ole Miss. I don't even hate Ole Miss. It's just one of those things where it's like going into this year, it was like, okay, Ole Miss, national championship contender, potentially. Jackson Dart, maybe he's that guy. Newsflash, he is not that guy. He can put up 300 yards. He can do that. He'll also give you a couple picks. And one of them to seal the game. So, yeah, no touchdowns in the second half for Ole Miss is unacceptable. So, Penn State of the South. You heard it here first. I'm not the first one to say that, but it's true. Let's see. What else do I got here? So I didn't watch this game, full disclosure. But I noticed it when I was just looking at the scoreboard here on ESPN. Auburn went to how many overtimes? How many? Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. 4 overtimes. And they won the game. Look, all right. I have great familiar with one Peyton Thorne, all right? Peyton Thorne at quarterback was one of the last times I had joy watching Michigan State football, which is really a sad thing to say. But Peyton Thorne, have a game. Have a game, Peyton. He did throw an interception, but he had a couple of touchdowns and 301 yards. Finally, he did it. Jarquez Hunter, though, 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. Auburn was just laying it all out. And good for Auburn. Now, for Texas A&M, just like Ole Miss, I'm sorry. I got to take you out to pasture. I got to put you down. 3rd loss, you're done. You're done. And you just look at those losses, all right? Lost to Notre Dame at the beginning of the year at home. Lost to South Carolina, get blown out. And now a loss to Auburn on the road. I know it's on the road, but yeah. You got Texas this weekend. And it is a big rivalry game. I'm sure they're looking to play spoiler. But as far as I'm concerned, the result of that game for playoff implications does not matter. The SEC now lays in the hands of Georgia and Texas. And I got to tell you, I remember, and I saw this clip yesterday, and I thought I was insane. Like, I thought I was the crazy, stupid person. I saw someone say with a straight face that Texas was not a top 5 team in the SEC. And I thought, well, for one, they had only lost one game. So that's already, a sign that you're probably pretty good. And I was like, how are they not top 5? You lose one game and you're out of the top 5? Even if you want to say, oh, you lost the game to a good team. Okay, sure. Yeah, but you lose the game to a good team. Doesn't that doesn't jump? It doesn't make sense that you jump so far down the ramp. Like you don't become like the worst team ever when you lose to a good team. That doesn't make any sense. And now, going into the final week of the year, the SEC standings are such that Texas remains at the top. 10-1 on the year overall, 6-1 in the conference, least amount of losses in the conference. They will get to play Texas A&M, which is going to be a tough game for them because it's a rivalry game and those games are always tough. But I got no reason to believe that they're just gonna not show up. I think they will show up, and I think Texas A&M, I think they'll show up as well. But look, we're done with you, Texas A&M. You're off to pasture. You're not gonna make the playoff. So it was fun. It's fun. Well, fun while it lasted. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. But yeah, not great, but it had to happen. Sorry, Texas A&M. I guess that's it for college football because the college football rankings are about to come out here in any moment now. What am I looking at? Okay. Michigan State basketball, by the way, down 5 with 34 seconds. 2-possession game. Will they win it? No, they will not. I can assure you, they will not. When the game is on the line, Michigan State basketball will show you just how bad things can really get. So, yeah. You know what? I guess then that's everything. Swig. I kind of want to just see the final 30 seconds of this Michigan State game here before we get to the picks. But Lord knows the final 30 seconds of a basketball game are the most, are the longest seconds of a game. Yeah, so we're not even going to bother. All right. Okay. You know what? We'll see. Well, we'll wait because I don't want it to be like Michigan State is about to win and we're doing the picks and I can't even react. So I'm gonna wait. All right. Missed free throw number 2. All right. Michigan State's down 6. Still a 2-possession game for 3 to make it a 1. And he airballed it and it's rebounded by Memphis. All right. Well, that was fun. All right. Well, that didn't last long. Okay. Cool. Fun. Love this team. So much grit. So much just Spartan dogs. All right. Is that time of the game or time of the game? I was going to say time of the year and I was like that's also wrong. That's also incorrect. It is that time of the show where mostly I make myself look bad. It is indeed time for the picks. Hit the music. All right. I don't want to talk about last week. All right. That didn't happen. I don't want to talk about it. It's all in the past. We're going to get better. All right. Let's start. Thanksgiving. Bears at the Lions. Seth is taking the Lions. You know what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Lions are the best team in the NFL. The Bears are spiraling. Their coach is a moron. The Lions are kind of banged up a little bit. So they're probably not going to be fully healthy for this game. I don't care. I think the Lions are they're just that good. They're gonna find a way to win games. So yeah, give me the Lions, get the win easily. Maybe not easily, but I will easily take the Lions. How about that? Then we have the Thanksgiving drunk hangover game. Giants at the Cowboys. Ew, yuck, gross. I'm vomiting right now, as you can see. That's taking the Cowboys. Yeah, I'll take the Cowboys. Tommy DeVito is the tank commander for the Giants, and the Cowboys, love him or hate him, Cooper Rush is gonna find you a way to win this game. Central Michigan's own Cooper Rush. Yeah, two terrible teams. This game is going to be awful. I feel terrible for Fox and for Tom Brady that they have. This is the first Thanksgiving that they get with Tom Brady doing color commentary. Is this absolutely garbage football game? And watch it end up actually being a really entertaining game. Give me the Cowboys. Dolphins at the Packers as the nightstand on Thanksgiving. Seth is taking the Packers to get the win. You know, I got to take the Packers as well. Miami has started to turn it up. I cannot deny that. However, anytime Tua's got to play in that cold weather, I don't know, it just doesn't work out. And I hate to be that guy. I hate that excuse because it's just, I don't know, it just feels cheap. But it's true. I mean, like, last year against the Chiefs, and to be fair, that was a terrible game. But he didn't show up in the cold. And the Packers, they're starting to get hot. They're trying to fight for that division still. So, yeah, give me the Pack. Win on Thanksgiving. Black Friday game featuring a black team. The Raiders. Visiting Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs. Seth is taking the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to win. Gardner Minshew is dead. I think Aiden O'Connell is going to be their quarterback again, which is not good. Not good. Yeah, give me the Chiefs. I got nothing more to say. The Chiefs might play down to competition, but it doesn't matter. They're still going to win. That's just how they are. So, yeah, give me the Chiefs. The Chargers visiting the Falcons on Sunday. Back into the regular Sunday slot. There's no bye weeks here, by the way, so it's a full slate. Seth is taking his Chargers to get the win. I am going to agree. I think the Chargers are going to bounce back. That was a tough loss against the Ravens, but I don't think it's indicative of the kind of team they actually are. I think they are a pretty competent team. They just ran into another very competent team, a team that is contending for a Super Bowl in the Ravens. So, yeah, give me the Chargers to get the win over the Falcons. Falcons coming off the bye. I don't know. It just feels like something don't feel right. Doesn't feel right in Atlanta. Steelers visiting Cincinnati, taking on the Bengals. Seth is taking the Steelers. I don't know. This feels like a Bengals win. I don't like the Steelers. Play down to competition, lose to the Bears in the snow off. I don't know. Off the bye, I want to say the Bengals are off of the bye. I feel like this is the Bengals random blowout win or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just totally in blind here. Maybe I'm just like a complete nincompoop, and I'm also just trying to gain ground on Seth because he's taken ground over me after that putrid week last week. Give me the Bengals. I don't know. Things. Texans visiting the Jaguars. Seth is taking the Houston Texans. Yeah, I got to take the Texans. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be playing in this game, but the Jaguars are terrible. For one, I'm still shocked. Like, we're 2 weeks out. Like, the game is next week. Doug Peterson still has a job. So Shad Khan has basically lost any amount of credibility that he already didn't really have as an owner. Because he said if they played ugly against the Lions, heads were going to roll. And heads have, in fact, not rolled. So, yeah, give me the Texans. Ugly loss against the Titans. This feels like a bounce back, though. They are still technically that division is not good, but they are still the best team in that division from a talent standpoint. So I think they're going to get the win here over the Jags. Just bad Jags team. Bad Jags. Cardinals at the Vikings. Seth is taking the Minnesota Vikings. This is actually kind of tough for me. This is kind of tough. Do I want to take a risk? Oh, I don't know, Jim. No, we'll take the Vikings. I don't feel great about it. I swear, this is going to be the week the Cardinals actually bounce back. I talked about them earlier in the show. I think they're a good team. I think they had a bad week against Seattle. The Vikings, they did almost blow that game against the Bears. They did, but they didn't. They didn't blow it, ultimately. So, yeah, give me the Vikings. I don't know. I don't feel that great about it. Colts at the Patriots. Seth is taking the Colts. You know what? I'm going to go off the beaten path. I'm going to bet on the Patriots, all right? You know what? No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I'm not stupid. Hold on. Take that back. Taking that back. We're taking it back. Give me the Colts. Anthony Richardson is not good, but you know what? It doesn't matter. He's still over. That Colts team has a good enough defense. Drake May is going to struggle. He's a rookie quarterback. I don't see him being able to put enough together here to get the win. This will be an ugly game. It'll be a low-scoring game. It'll be cold. December in New England. Come on, stop it. That's going to be an ugly game. Give me the Colts. Seahawks at the Jets. Now, this one I do take much pleasure in. Seth is taking the Seahawks. I'm taking the Birds as well. Yeah, I hate the Jets. Jets are terrible. Aaron Rodgers is washed. He's cooked. He's awful. They have no coach. They have nothing. That team is terrible. Give me the Seahawks. I don't even care that Geno Smith is not, a light, blowing up the quarterback. I don't care. The Jets are terrible. They're awful. Moving on. Titans at the Commanders. I hate that my phone just turned off on me, so I had to reload it in. Seth is taking the Commanders. So it's a little bounce back week. I agree. Look, I know the Titans just got that win against the Texans. I do not care. All right. Titans are terrible. All right. Commanders, this is your chance. All right. This is your chance to get yourself back into that conversation. If you lose this game, you're full on fraud watch. You're full on, okay, this is not, things are not in your favor. You gotta just stop right here, right now. So I think this is where they stop the bleeding. They get a win over the Titans. Give me the Commanders. Get the win. Buccaneers at the Panthers. That is quite the game. Seth is taking the Buccaneers. I got no further comment. I'm taking the Buccaneers. Yeah, I mean, Baker and the boys, he just finds ways to score points with nobody. As much as Bryce Young has actually surprisingly played pretty well the last couple of weeks, I just don't think they have the guys. I don't think he is the guy. I mean, he's playing better, but I don't think that it's really going to matter. Give me the Buccaneers. The Panthers are just so bad. Until they get a win against a team where I'm actually impressed, I just can't take them. Sorry. Rams at the Saints. Seth is taking the Rams. Yeah, I'll take the Rams. Matthew Stafford, when he is not pressured, he will destroy you. When he is pressured, he will get destroyed. He will be the destroyer of his own team. We saw that in a bad game for the Rams against the Eagles. Really just showed the separation between a playoff contender, a Super Bowl contender, and the Rams right now. So, Saints are not good. This feels like a bounce back for LA. Saints, I think they're coming off of their bye, but I don't think it's really going to matter. So give me the Saints. Or give me the Rams, not the Saints. And then, Eagles, Ravens, at Ravens, I should say. Seth is taking the Eagles. This is pure spite. I'm taking the Ravens. I refuse to believe that the Eagles are actually a well-coached team. I don't believe in Nick Sirianni. I don't. He's feasted on some bad teams over the last few weeks. This is a real competition. See if Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh can actually step up in a big marquee game. I think this is going to show us a lot about either of these teams. Depending on who wins, I think we'll see either the real thing or the fake thing in the AFC and NFC respectively. I think it's going to be the Eagles as the fake, the Ravens as the real. So give me the Ravens. 49ers at the Bills on Sunday Night Football. Oh, Sunday night. You know, at the beginning of the year, this game probably looked a lot better. I gotta admit, beginning of the year, this game looked pretty good. But not anymore. Seth is taking the Bills. Yeah, I gotta take the Bills because what's his name? Mason McGonigal or whoever. I don't even know what the guy's name is. Whoever they had at quarterback. Me. They had me out in quarterback. Yeah, the 49ers are not good. They're beat up. I don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be back. If he's not back, and frankly, even if he is back, I don't know that it's really going to matter. The Bills are a very, very, very good football team. So give me the Bills to get the win on Sunday night. And then finally, Monday Night Football, Browns at the Broncos. Seth is actually taking the Brownies to get the win. That's tough. That's tough, man. You know? I don't know. Famous Jameis? I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to give the Broncos. I talked about the Broncos earlier in the show. I'm not totally sold on them, but this just feels like a chance for them to get that win, to keep their season alive, to keep that hope that they can still make the playoffs alive. If they lose this game, really becomes a lot more difficult for them to make that case for them to be able to make the playoffs. So, yeah, give me the Broncos, though. I think they're going to get the win. All right, rounding it all out here. Bears, Lions, we are both taking the Lions. Giants, Cowboys, we're both taking the Cowboys. Dolphins, Packers, we're both taking the Packers. Raiders, Chiefs, we are both taking the Chiefs. Chargers, Falcons, we are both taking the Chargers. Steelers, Bengals, Seth is taking the Steelers. I am taking the Bengals. Texans, Jaguars, we're both taking the Texans. Cardinals, Vikings, we are both taking the Vikings. Colts, Patriots, we're both taking the Colts. Seahawks, Jets, we're both taking the Seahawks. Titans and Commanders, we are both taking the Commanders. Buccaneers, Panthers, we are both taking the Buccaneers. Rams, Saints, we are both taking the Rams. Eagles, Ravens, Seth is taking the Eagles. I am taking the Ravens. 49ers, Bills, we are both taking the Bills. And Browns, Broncos, Seth is taking the Browns. I am taking the Broncos. And those are your NFL Week 13 picks. All right. And that's the show. And by the way, we're getting the college football playoff ranking. Alabama is out of it. I guess they must have lost. Did I miss that? Did I just totally... Hold on. Did I totally miss the fact that Alabama lost last week? I mean, they already had 3 losses. What did they... Oh, yeah, that's right. Alabama lost to Oklahoma. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, they lost to Oklahoma, so that's probably it for Alabama then. Right? I would imagine. Yeah. That's all I got. I got nothing. They played terribly. I don't know. It wasn't a good game. Look at my man. Look at the Boise State Broncos and oh my gosh, what's that? Jaunty. Oh man. I need a blue turf playoff game. Come on. Boise State's at the 11th spot in the top 25. I don't know what that means as far as whether or not they're in or where they're slated as far as the seating goes. None of it makes sense. It's confusing. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. So, look, a little bit of a look ahead as far as what we're looking forward to. So, not going to be live on Thursday for the Lions game. I'm going to be out of town, obviously. Go spend time with your family on Thanksgiving. Go see your loved ones. It's the holidays. What you should do. Saturday, we'll be live for Michigan State Rutgers. That is going to be a big game, obviously. The stakes are pretty high, and Michigan State has a chance to make a bowl game for the first time in 3 years. So it could be an exciting time. We could see a Michigan State win. We could be going bowling. That would be, as far as I'm concerned, a successful season for Jonathan Smith. So hopefully we can get the win. So I will be live for that. Obviously, there's not going to be any Lions game on Sunday, but then following, we'll be back here on Tuesday, and then it'll be Thursday Night Football, and we should be live for basically every other Lions game from that point. So with that being said, I do appreciate anybody for stopping by, listening, and hanging out. I'm going to get going here. So have a great rest of your night, everybody. And everybody, I want to say this as well. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I am very thankful for anybody who comes and listens and watches the show. I'm especially thankful for those who like and subscribe. So if you want to be in my especially thankful list, go ahead and like and subscribe. We do live shows every single Tuesday, and we do live broadcasts of games on the weekends, and sometimes during the week, depending on the time of the game and whether or not I have work off. So, look, it's a great time. I'm thankful for all of you. We're almost at 300 subscribers. It'd be awesome if we could hit 300 subscribers before the end of the year. That would be amazing. That'd be great. So, with that all being said, though, have a great rest of your night. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you guys on Saturday for the Michigan State Rutgers game. See you later. Goodbye. Have a good night.